Hey, welcome to Moments of Reckoning. I'm Kristen Zeman.
And I'm Chris Tunney.
So, how have you settled into co-hosting?
You know what? I'm so glad you asked because I did just quick take a moment to have a writer typed up from my attorney.
Oh, wow.
And you could just, there are a few highlights in there.
Wow. Listeners, there is a full contract
But,
here. This is a podcast co-host performance writer agreement.
It is. And
this is impressive. This is fantastic. You know what? I'm going to have my attorneys take a look at it.
You might have to just check a few of the highlighted sections.
Please. Well, hold on. I have to put on my spectacles.
I think
to
it's
do this.
important to acknowledge the things I do need.
Oh, wow. You have beverage requirements.
I do. But there's, that and then a few other things.
Oh, wow. Monster Energy, but it's only the white can edition.
And
violation of this section constitutes grounds for emotional disappointment and reduced enthusiasm during recording. Well, we can't have reduced enthusiasm. Oh, wow. So I have to verbally acknowledge the following. Honestly, you don't even need makeup.
thank you.
Oh my God, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
Wow. Chocolate requirements. Dove chocolate.
That's if you see, that's like, whatever. It's okay. But sometimes I like that.
Do you think the monster in the chocolate will make you, I don't know, fidgety?
No. I do it all the time.
Okay. Wow.
There are a few
microphone quality shall make talent. Are you the talent?
I am the talent.
You're calling yourself the talent. Yeah. Shall make the talent sound intelligent, mysterious, and mildly intimidating. I'm so impressed by this. Emotional support clause. Wow. I'm the production staff.
Yes.
And it looks like I need to compliment you every 45 minutes. And
which thank God the podcast is only 20 minutes.
Exactly. So that's just a one time.
And I was letting you off the hook on that one.
And then 2 reassurances that the episode is really strong. Now, was that in the middle of the episode or before or after?
It's dealer's choice, really.
Okay. All right. And 1 statement implying the podcast may soon receive sponsorship offers. Well, if you keep mentioning Monster, that could potentially happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's one more that's probably pretty
okay. Relevant. Final acknowledgement prior to each recording. Production shall verbally acknowledge this podcast would absolutely fall apart without Christine Tunney.
Yes.
I see you've already signed it and accepted it.
I did.
That's fantastic.
I actually have a pen for you to sign it.
I'm actually impressed by this. I'm secretly impressed. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, today I want to talk about a couple things. One, I was in the car and I was shuffling to find a podcast. So I stumbled across a podcast, Gretchen Rubin. I'll link it. But anyway, here's what they were talking about. They were talking about the green bubble effect. And I was intrigued. I was like, well, what is the green bubble effect? And someone wrote in and said that their teenage son is being left out of some social events because he has an Android and his friends all have iPhones. Now, before we
I have no problem with this.
Before we jump to conclusions, the mother said, this is not a case of the boys like purposely leaving him out. They're all very good friends, but they can't stand the green bubble. And so they've kind of kicked him out of the text string. Some of the effects are there was a hiking situation or maybe a biking situation, something like that, where they were all going to go as a group. And they just forgot to let him know because he's not in the group chat because he turns the group chat green.
Well, and it not only does it turn the group chat green, but then it will say this person liked this message. Because it just
instead of just putting the thumbs up.
Let the flow go. I mean,
yeah. Okay. So my first thought was to laugh at this. And I thought, are these real problems? And then I am reminded in our life that we have certain people who will only buy an Android and they resist an iPhone. Okay. All right. That's great. But they annoy the shit out of us because sometimes the text messages don't even come through. Pictures come through all weird. And then, like you said, like an iPhone has the really cool emojis where you can thumbs up, you can smiley face. John, being one of our friends, messes up our group chat. And so that's why you and I and his wife have another group chat without him.
I was going to say, I didn't have the heart to tell him that we actually have a chat without him with his wife because we can't stand the green bubble.
Yeah, we can't stand it. And then I kind of go backwards in time to when I was still working as the chief and my command staff. All of us on the command staff all had iPhones except our deputy chief,
who's supposed to be a leader.
A shout out to Keith Jackson, who refused to.
That's not a team player.
Who refused, and he is so adamant against iPhones that he just refused to do it, and so he would screw up our text chat. So I thought this was worthy of mentioning, and they had a whole lot of comments on this podcast, and there's even a Facebook page, which I'll also link, where people wrote in, and one woman is like, I'm 32 and I get left out of things because I turn the group chat green. So this is a real problem. And in fact, I do have to make a confession now that time has passed. But after Keith Jackson retired with his Android, when I was filling the position for deputy chief at the end of the interview, I said, oh, and by the way, what kind of phone do you have? Do you have an iPhone or do you have an Android? Because I was bound and determined to promote the next person. It was just, of course, it was about competency, but also they had to have an iPhone. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So this is a real issue, and I think it's causing a divide in our social interactions, and it's not just, it's not just a funny joke anymore. There are real consequences.
Yeah, it's a struggle because when I see that green text message pop up when when we text on that chat, it just annoys me.
But we love John.
Of course, I love him, and I want him to show up to the group outing. So I have to rely on his wife to tell him, because I don't want to text on that screen. Because if I like something, then it says Chris liked John's message. No, I don't want that. I just want to see the thumbs up.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. So I don't know, friends. How are we going to bridge this gap?
And why are you fighting?
Well, I don't begrudge people for choosing brands for which they prefer. I mean, some people, like Coke, Pepsi, whatever, but I don't know. This has consequences in real life, and just know that if you choose,
listen,
here's the bottom line. Here's the way I see it. If you choose to be the minority and have the Android and cause all group chats to turn green, well, then, enter at your own risk. You may get left out of a group event because of it.
And listen, Mom specified they're not bullying him. They're still all friends. They want to invite him. They just forgot.
Yeah.
So,
that was what I wanted to make clear, is because some people were saying if they were real friends, and she's like, it's not like that. It's just that, so you know what, though? Here's a good alternative, is just go onto WhatsApp or Signal or something.
Yeah, I'm not a WhatsApp fan. Why? We have it, but because here's the thing. I love my phone. I love that my text messages are right on the top screen. They pop up when I get them. If I want that from WhatsApp, then I have to allow notifications. And the problem with WhatsApp is then you get all this spam on WhatsApp, and people are adding you to groups, and there's nothing that drives me more crazy than when someone does like a 30-person group chat to say Merry Christmas. Now, I
that's a whole other beef. That's a whole other beef.
But that's part of the reason, because I get all these things in my WhatsApp saying you've been added to this group and they're trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that never happens on my text strings, but it's very rare compared to WhatsApp. So I'm not a WhatsApp fan.
Okay. All right. So that's not a solution for you. Well, Signal,
we know how secure that is.
It's not about secure. Like, we're not the United States government. We're not Pete Hegseth et al. Having like
war plans.
Right. I mean, it's not that deep for us. We're just like, hey, do you guys want to go to brunch?
Right. But most people don't have that app right front and center, like WhatsApp, Signal, all those things. Back when they had Telescope. All of those, they're not front and center like your text messages on your phone. So I believe that using a second party app, you're more likely to miss the notification.
Yeah, unless you have notifications set up. There's a workaround.
There is.
All I'm trying to say. If you Android users want to come back in, maybe suggest that you all meet together on WhatsApp. But if you don't, or
buy a new phone, the water's warm.
Just know that you may not get invited to bottomless mimosas at brunch.
Truth.
Okay, moving on. All right, the second thing that. This is apropos for what we're going to talk about. It's going to be like a great lead-in. But I listened to the Michael Easter 2% Better podcast. And on his podcast, he had a guest, and this guest is a GQ reporter who wrote a column entitled "Why My 2026 Resolution is to Start Drinking Again." So I thought this was a funny lead-in, and they started talking about it. And what he said basically was, he said, his marriage gets harder, his friendships went quiet, and that's why he wrote this piece. And he gave up alcohol because that's the movement. There's a lot of people giving up alcohol, and kudos to them. I'm with you.
You're one of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
95% of the time, you are one of those people.
I don't drink that much, and in fact, I haven't. I didn't drink for 5.5 months until we went on our trip, and we'll get there because, like I said, this is a good lead up. But what he was saying was, he did find, his whoop and his aura and all of the things that we measure. When you have alcohol, it does affect your sleep, like it or not. And the newest science that has come out about alcohol is that, it's not good for you. And I think everyone kind of knows that, just like sugar is bad for you. And I'm sure in caffeine and all of the other things, right? So he said that when he gave up alcohol, he said his aura and his whoop were like, yes, but his actual well-being was no. And he said, for example, he and his wife were just out somewhere, and they normally, when they're just trying to kill some time, they'll go grab a drink. These are not abusers of alcohol. Right. And they stopped in this place that they wouldn't normally have stopped in. And as a result, they engaged in, I don't know, some ping pong tournament or something. And badminton. See, I'm bad at translating, but it was like, he's like, but for just having a drink with my wife in an establishment. Now, that is not to say that you can't go and have a mocktail, of course. But what he was trying to say is that your inhibitions go down a little bit. Alcohol loosens us up, and it creates greater connections with other humans. And it intrigued me because I'm one of those people that I don't drink ever to fill a void or because I'm sad. I drink when I'm feeling celebratory, or it's about connection for me. I love it. Some of our favorite nights for you and I are just grab a couple glasses of wine and a cheese plate. Yeah. And it's like, that's our happy place. But I gave it up for a while, and I feel remarkably better. But I just thought this was so interesting, is that when you're drinking with someone, you're doing something, slightly high risk together, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. And that shared vulnerability is part of what creates closeness. And I do find that alcohol does accelerate that closeness process when you're with people. I don't know why.
It does. So I struggle with this.
Yeah, I know.
Because there are several people in my life that I know that they don't drink, not because they choose not to, but because they cannot. It does not add value to their life. They're addicts. Yeah. So they cannot, because one drink means a 3-day binge. Mm-hmm. So this is where I struggle, because I think there's such a fine line. With you not drinking, that has an extension made me drink a lot less, and I don't get hungover. I don't feel bad.
I never do. Yeah.
I don't. Yes, I notice on my aura that my readiness is lower when I wake up if we drink. So we found a workaround. If you day drink,
that's the loophole. If you day drink, then it doesn't affect your sleep.
By the time you go to bed, it doesn't affect your sleep. And obviously, we're not overindulging, but. And I agree, because there are a lot of times that I'm a very social person. I am not nervous around people. I don't have a problem talking to people. But I do find that when we go to barbecues or dinner parties, if I don't drink at all, I find myself looking at the clock a little bit more. Like, can we go now? Not that
it does add some
not that I'm
fun.
not enjoying the people, but I just want to go home.
People get funnier. I mean,
they do. Because then, and if other people are drinking and I'm sober, it will make me stay a little bit longer because they're funnier. And then when they pass that point, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go.
Yeah. And you think they're funnier because you're also drinking. So it's like that's this collective.
So it's not as annoying.
Yeah, it's not as annoying because having not drank for nearly 6 months, I did find that. I will say though, I love being a sober person at a party where everyone is drinking. It makes me laugh so hard because I have such clarity about what is happening, and I'm here for it. It doesn't annoy me unless someone gets super sloppy. But you said something earlier, and that's what I really think the point is. So Michael Easter, who is interviewing this reporter who wrote the article, said he is one of those people that he cannot have alcohol because
his favorite drink is the next one.
That's right. And it leads to actually bad things happening, like where's my car? Like blackouts, things like that.
Listen, I had a cousin
yeah
who his stop point was when he woke up in Vegas.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't
so
know
that's a problem.
where his briefcase was. Didn't know how he got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, maybe I drink too much. And he hasn't had a drink since, and he's got a great life, and he's a good dude. But it's just so funny. Like, those are the funny stories when you hear, like, if you have a drink and somehow you wake up in a different state, and you don't know how you got there, that might be a clue that you shouldn't drink.
Well, and honestly, I think what we're talking about here, two things. One, moderation. I cannot stand being around people who constantly have to drink, where it's like you can't go anywhere without alcohol, and then it becomes slurry.
Yeah,
it's like dude, just stop. There's have a drink, and I just get really annoyed by that, and I don't want to be around it. It just gives me the ick.
Well, it also your childhood.
Yeah, of course, I come from an alcoholic father, and so I think that's why I originally, when I first started out in my 20s, I didn't even touch alcohol because I thought anyone who drank alcohol was an alcoholic, and then the relationship with alcohol just became normal, where it's like, okay, you can have a couple drinks and not be an alcoholic. But I think what we have to really pull on here is this is not the friction point here is this conversation is not justification for drinking whatsoever. No. I love people that are like, I'm not drinking anymore. I don't like how it makes me feel. I am so with you. But I think here's how I weigh it. Does it add value to your life, or does it take value away? And if you're constantly waking up in the morning feeling like garbage, you lose an entire day because you drank too much, you have to go through like the anxiety of, what did I say last night? Did I make a fool of myself? That's not an add value, friends. But if it's a couple of drinks and, I'm feeling a little tipsy and, we're having a great, intimate connection, and it's enhancing that connection, and it doesn't affect your life in a negative way, I think there's your answer. But I love this discussion.
So I took the article a little bit differently. What I liked about the article, I agree with everything you just said, but what I like about the article is that all I've been hearing for the past year or so, and especially from you, is any amount of alcohol is poison.
Yeah, well, that was the study that came out.
I understand that.
Parroting the study.
I understand that. But you also feel terrible when you drink. You also
too much, yeah.
But that's and your too much is 3 glasses.
I know, right?
And where I don't have that problem. And listen, I'm not advocating for going out and getting smashed. I'm just saying, what I liked about the article is that anytime you come out and it's an all or nothing thing, it's hard for me.
Yeah,
because that's just. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that any amount of alcohol I put in my body is poison and it's going to kill me, because everything you put into your body is going to kill you.
Yeah.
And I want to at least have a little fun.
Yeah.
Because when I have a drink or two and I do make that social connection and I do have a good night and we laugh all night long, and, that adds so much more value than the fact that having those 3 drinks might take 20 minutes off my life.
Sure.
Well,
and the studies have shown also, and I think Easter goes into this in his podcast about really active people, also that offsets moderation, alcohol in moderation, where actually
then I'm good.
Yeah, there's been some pushback, but I don't know the answer. I'm not a physician.
Let's say any drop of alcohol you put in your body is poison.
Okay,
that's the newest study. 5 years ago, 1 glass of wine every day was healthy for you. 10 years ago, the study always changes. So who knows what, and you just said, here's another study, active people that offsets the alcohol in moderation. So there's all these new studies constantly coming out. And we were just in France, and we did, we went on a champagne house tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I don't drink champagne, but this was fantastic. I loved everything about it. I actually even liked the champagne. But one of the things the woman said to us was that all of these wineries are going under because nobody's drinking anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
So this study that says any drop of alcohol put in your body is poison, now we have wineries going under, people losing their jobs. The things that, families who have had wineries for decades are going out of business because people aren't drinking. What happens in 5 years when somebody comes up with another study that says that was wrong?
Sure.
And drinking in moderation doesn't hurt you.
Well, I don't know if that's a great argument. Well, so you're worried about people losing their jobs?
I'm just saying that it's just I'm sorry. When you go all or nothing, I'm just saying that it has a big effect on more than just you.
Yeah, I know, but if you told, if the next, people say sugar is the devil and it's poison, and so are you worried about Hostess?
No.
See, that's what I'm saying. So,
right.
Where's your argument there? It's like if, I don't know, cocaine is bad for you. Are you worried about the drug lords?
Well, they're still around. Everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not a valid argument.
Yeah, okay.
My problem is I don't know who or what to believe about anything because there are so many contradicting studies, and I think it's best to just use your common sense and just monitor your health, your body, your wellness, and focus on your health span, not just your lifespan. And if you can incorporate alcohol into your life so it adds value, does not detract value, and your blood is good, all your numbers are good, then I don't know, maybe carry on and enjoy your life. Then cheers. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. That was a little bit of my takeaway, but it was from
very interesting podcast.
Yeah. And the title of that podcast is Alcohol Actually Bad for You? The Truth About Drinking. And that's from 2% with Michael Easter. And then I wanted to talk about another podcast that we both listened to from the Next Big Idea Club. And the title of that was Beliefs Are Tools, Not Truths. And author Nir Eyal was on there, and he just wrote the book Beyond Belief. And they were talking about his book. And I listened to it, and I absolutely fell in love with it because there were so many talking points on here that I loved. But one thing that struck me was this one. And this is the only one that we can talk about, that we probably have time to talk about. But it was prayer without faith. So the author is not a person of faith, and that is a religious institution or a faith. So I think he fell short of saying he was an atheist, but that's what I got out of it, atheist or agnostic. And he said what he learned from talking to many people in the theological? Is that the study? Divinity, maybe. Divinity? Theological? I don't know. The study of religion and different, like clergy from all different denominations. What they said is that we welcome any people of faith. And he said that prayer is just as potent even if you don't believe. And I had to push pause on that for a minute and go, well, who are you praying to? So if I am not religious. I would identify as an atheist. And the thought of prayer means that I'm praying to a God or something that I do not believe exists. So is this just glorified talking to yourself? Who are you praying to?
Okay. You and I am not an atheist.
Right.
I absolutely 100% believe in something bigger than I am, bigger than we are. I don't know the name for it because I struggle with the official titles from a church because I struggle so greatly with organized religion. But I don't believe it's glorified talking to yourself. I pray every night.
Well, you believe. You're a believer.
But I'm saying
you're literally the person who prays to the person you believe in.
I say a prayer every night before I go to bed.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Well, no. How would I?
Okay.
You don't get on your knees and sit by the bed in a prayer position.
No, it's just,
how would I know that?
But I'm saying it's something I say to myself every night before I go to bed.
Uh-huh.
And I've been struggling with it because I'm thinking, who am I saying this to? Before we listen to this podcast, So in the middle of it at night, I'm struggling with, who am I saying this to? Something big. I don't know, because I don't like all the terms that go with it, but I know there's something bigger than me. I just don't. So I struggled with it. So listening to that podcast made me realize that it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also about positive. For me, it's about putting positive energy out into the universe.
Okay, but you can't have both. All right. So you're saying that you pray and you believe in God.
No, I can't. I don't feel comfortable with the term God, because
but you're not an atheist and you're not an agnostic.
I understand that, but the God I grew up with, sitting in sit, stand, kneel, was mean and vindictive and didn't like people, and you would go to hell, and that is not something that I believe in.
Okay, so then my question is, who are you praying to?
I don't know. Something bigger than me.
This is why I love this conversation, because you are religious. I mean, not in the terms.
I am not religious.
Well, you don't go to church, but you believe.
I have faith.
In what? In
that
who?
There is something bigger than me.
Well, okay, so is that the whole? I'm spiritual. I'm not religious.
Maybe, but I'm not sure why you're using the Grover voice for it.
That was Grover. I'm glad that you recognize that.
This is new.
Is it far away? I guess I just don't understand, because you are a believer, but I am not. And so if you were to ask me, and here's the thing, I do pray. This is why I got validation, because whenever, and
who are you praying to?
That I'm conscious of the fact that I'm praying to absolutely no one. That's why I say it's glorified talking to myself. I'm trying to manifest. I'm like
putting positive energy out into the universe.
I'm trying to manifest. Like when, like if Jake has an audition, if our son also was, Jimmy was, in a job interview. I think about that when Bailey and Finn were deployed. I am like, I put stuff into the universe of like, I need them to come back safe. I need people to get these things that they deserve because they're amazing. And I put it, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I put it, I think about it, I say it, I like try to write it. And so I try to manifest it, I'm not dear God. I
don't say dear God either.
Yeah, I love this conversation. So it's just like, who's it going to? It's just going. It's just,
what if it's just going,
it's an energy.
What if it's just going to the universe? What if it's just positive energy, positive thoughts out into the universe? Because this is also the podcast that said, when they did the study, people who considered themselves lucky are lucky.
They're lucky.
Than people who don't.
Yeah.
Right? And I consider myself to be lucky.
Yeah. Me too.
All green lights.
All green lights. All green lights. Uh-huh.
And so, we look, I am more likely to look for patterns in my life that remind me why I am lucky.
Okay. That's exactly what the book was talking about.
So,
and that works.
Right. But I don't have to say I am lucky because Jesus died on a cross.
Right.
Do you know what? Now people believe that, and I respect that fully. I think that whatever you need to pray to, or whatever you need to believe to get you through, you should.
Oh, great.
And for me, I just put things out into the universe because I believe that you put positive energy out into the universe, you get positive energy back.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's my praying.
Yeah.
Without religion.
Yeah.
But I have faith. You're going to tell me you don't have faith in the power of the universe? You manifest all the time.
Yeah, in the power of the universe. But again, I'm really into action. I don't believe in just manifesting in, the whole, idea of the what is it, the secret, the vision board and all that. Like you put it on there and you see it, but then you have to like get off your ass and you need to do something.
Of course.
But I just felt like I wasn't praying. I didn't call it prayer. I don't know if it was like a mantra or something that I just put out there. But it's making me reframe it. I'm going to call it, I'm praying, but I just really am praying to, I don't know, just the universe. But that's so vague. I don't know what that is.
Why are we pushing so hard to define something that makes us feel better?
Right. I think that it's not that. I think the question was just, can you pray if you don't have faith?
So do you think that you struggle? I know why I struggle with this question, because I struggle with religion as a whole because of my upbringing, because of my mom, because of the job that I did for so long, with abused children. And it's and being a police officer, it's very hard for me to believe that there is a God when I see these things that have happened to babies and children. No God would let that happen. So there's my struggle. But the people who do believe in it, I'm happy for them that they have that. I wonder if you struggle because you used to always talk about your mom telling you that, or one of the nuns in the school telling you when you lost a necklace that if you prayed about it, it would come back to you. And your dad said, no, you have to go find it.
Yeah. So she said, God will help you find this necklace.
Right. Which is, we know God isn't going to put food on your table. God isn't going to help you find the necklace. You have to get off your butt and go and do it.
Yeah. My mom was the big believer in God will always provide. Right. And I was like, actually, you should go do something. Like, you need to do something to get off your ass.
And I'm not saying that the universe doesn't help. Right? Well, being lucky, the universe helps. But I'm just saying that this is a big struggle for me. I'm not done with this. I listened to the podcast. It really struck a chord with me. I'm going to do a lot of soul searching with this one because it made me think about, I actually feel guilty when I pray because I don't know who I'm praying to.
I just, for the first time, got permission to pray.
I like that.
Yeah. And if it's just talking to myself, then I guess that's okay. This is the part of the show where we talk about the moment of reckoning, which is that moment of truth and choice, where something happens either that we've observed or something happens in our life, and we face this moment of reckoning, this moment where we need to either act or we deliberately choose not to act. But it comes from the pressure gauge model, where when in life sometimes you're blind, and that simply means that you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes it's willful ignorance, where it's like, I don't want to know. But most of the time it's not. It's just that you can't know something you don't know. It's that simple. But then something happens, a disruption in life, and now you are awakened. And now you have a moment of reckoning. So we were in France, and we were at a champagne house with our dear friend, Carrie. She met us there from Scotland, and we were kind of recounting her life and how she ended up in Scotland, because Carrie was a cop with us in Aurora, Illinois. And after 10 years of being a cop, she just was feeling as though the walls were closing in on her. She didn't love the profession that she chose. And so she was thinking about, what am I going to do next? And there was this conference. Is that what it was? It's a Marie Forleo, who is famous. Look her up. And Carrie was deliberating on whether she should invest in going. It was in another state. She wouldn't know anybody. She was freaking out about the price tag because it was a pricey event. And it was, I think it was like a women's entrepreneurial conference kind of thing. I'm probably getting that wrong. Sorry, Carrie. And she was deliberating over it. And while in roll call, which is the place and time that cops assemble before they hit the street, she mentions it to a cop sitting next to her. Like, I want to go to this thing, but it's so expensive and I won't know anybody. And the cop just said,
do it.
Do it. What? You can't not do it. Like, what's the big deal? Do it. And in that moment, she didn't think. She acted. She signed up right then and there for that conference. Now, this is where things get so interesting. Is at that conference, then there was another event that spinned off from that. And that she applied, I think 140 something people applied to go to the next event. And they were only picking 20 people. She was chosen. So she went, and from there, she went to go see Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins. And it was there that she got paired up with this older gentleman, Jim from Scotland. And she's really funny when she tells the story, because she's like, I really wanted to get paired up with this really stylish chick. She had great shoes. And as luck turned out, she got paired up with this guy. And she was like, as they started talking, he says to her, I know your future husband. And she's like, what? And he texted his friend in Scotland and said, I've just met your future wife.
I'm sitting next to your future wife.
I'm sitting next to your future wife. Now, here's what happens next. Jim and his wife invite Carrie to go to Scotland. And she goes, throws caution to the wind again. She goes, and friends, she married that man, that Scottish man, and she has 4 beautiful girls. And all because someone next to her said, do it. And she didn't let the time of deliberation hold her back. And I love that story. And it comes full circle while we're in France, because I did a thing. And also, let's talk about how we can bring alcohol into this as well. We were at a champagne house in Epernay, France, and we were talking about, the things that were unfinished. And I had mentioned to Carrie earlier that there's that PhD program that I applied for a year ago, got admitted, and chickened out. And it was because of all of the pragmatic things, because it's expensive. It's really expensive. And it's going to be a drain on my time. Does it have the return on my investment? All of these things. And as I was explaining this to Carrie, she's like, the way that she reacted to me was the same way that dude reacted to her in roll call. And she's like, that degree is yours. She's like, you've been wanting it forever. And what's the cost of not doing it? You're going to regret not doing it more than you regret doing it, even with all of the excuses that you're making. And man, she took away that deliberation of time again.
What I love the most is Carrie said to you, that title belongs to you.
Yeah.
And she's right. And we've had this talk when you applied for it the first time. This is something you have wanted to do since you finished your master's program.
Mm-hmm.
And there are all those complications, but those were always things we could work through. At the end of the day, it was the money.
Yeah. Well, it was also the return on my investment. If you ask me what I'm doing, what I enjoy doing and what my goals are to continue speaking. Keynote speaking is my favorite thing. And the fact that people invite me to speak on stages at their conferences is the greatest honor that I can receive, and to share the stories of failure and success. That's what I want to do. But also, I want this so bad because I've just been a perpetual student throughout my life, and I love school.
Well, and nothing makes you happier. I never see you happier is when you are learning. And when you're not, you get cranky and frustrated, because that's who you are. And I love that about you. So when you applied for it the first time, I agreed you should go for it. We did, and we still don't know what your return of investment is.
Right.
We don't.
No.
But it doesn't matter, because the one thing Carrie had 100% right was that title belongs to you.
Yeah. Well,
it makes you happy.
And that inspired me. So we're in the champagne house, and it was wonderful. We were in this tasting room, and I took out the tasting card, and I wrote on that tasting card, Kristen, PhD, and then Carrie's got a little goal. And so we both signed it, and we made a pact there. And this is also why alcohol add value, take value away, because I was a little tipsy when I signed that. Yeah. And I got back to our Airbnb, and I filled out the application. I just got on the website and, PhD in organizational leadership, and I hit send. And what I didn't expect was the next day to get a phone call from the university that said, hey, we got your application, but here's the thing. If you're serious, we're going to need to fast track this to admissions because class starts on Monday, 5 days away. What happened to Carrie in that moment when that cop said, do it, and she signed up, that window didn't have an opportunity to close. She jumped through it, and she did it. And that's exactly what happened to me, is that when they called, because I can guarantee you, when the tipsiness wore off and we got home, I would have talked myself out of it yet again. But because that window was not allowed to close, I quick applied. The advisor quick called, and I went, yeah, let's do it. And called my references and said, can you dust off the letter that you wrote me? And I didn't have time to think. And we got home, and I unpacked, and I started class on Monday. I have not had time to chicken out. And I think that there is something to this, and that is the moment of reckoning. It's this knowing, and the knowing, the awareness for me is something in me is unfinished. And so I want you listeners to think about your life in that same context. There is something that is gnawing at you that you keep putting off. And I'm going to tell you what, your excuses are valid. They are all sound. You don't have time. No, you don't, because you're busy raising kids. Maybe you're busy working full time. You can't do the thing, and you will have all of the reasons, and they are pragmatic and they are real, and yet it's still bullshit because you can do it if you want to. You just have to stop thinking about it. And then, and this is where I believe in the universe, is that green lights, is that once you make the decision to do the thing, then it's the hardest part, honestly, is just starting. And I genuinely, I hadn't thought about that window closing and how much it's like that moment between you and remarkable. There is a moment, and most people blink. And everything that you are standing on the other side of that you want to achieve is fighting that ability not to blink. And I talk about this stuff on stages, and it hit me at this very moment, and I became a product of what I speak about, and I just did the thing. Now listen, I don't know if I'm going to make it through. I mean, there's stats classes coming up. There's qualitative,
You're going to be just
quantitative research, which I don't comprehend
you
any
took
of that.
all of them in your master's program and passed them.
That was a real problem. But anyway, I might fail. I don't know. But here's what I know. I'm in it. I am in it. And that was the hardest part, was starting and convincing myself I could do it. And I'll figure out how to pay for it, because green lights. I will figure it out. But I think the actual lesson here is that we put a lot of emphasis on courage. It's like, yeah, you have to have the courage to do the thing. But what I've come to understand is the removal of the liberation of time is the thing. Don't think about it. Just fucking do it. That is my biggest takeaway. So I want to thank Carrie and my university for not giving me the choice to not do it. So
don't you think that was a part of our, I think what makes it, I don't want to use the term easier, but more comfortable for us, is our entire life was taking away that time of deliberation in our jobs. Because when something happened, you just did it.
Yeah.
And there were nights you would get back in your squad car after that call was over, or whatever happened, and go, okay, I'm alive. Wow. How did I make it through that without getting hurt or shot or whatever it was? And you didn't have time to think. You just had to react and do it.
Yeah, and that's more, see, that I liken more to bravery. Bravery, like the running towards the things. And of course, there's most definitely personal risk there, but that's what first responders are wired to do. But gosh, think about all the times in your life where you deliberated over something, because you were just scared to do it. And, so I love that example. It's not thinking. And that's genuinely, if you thought about it too much, you go, whoa, I'm not doing that. Because you just can't think about it. You have to rely on your training and your skills. And, I don't know, this was so powerful for me. And that is what I want to leave people with, is what is that thing in your life that internal committee inside of you has been meeting about for a really long time and keeps kicking the can? And what would it take for someone to say those two words to you right now? Do it. And so if you need that, hey, call us. We're your guys. So listen, that transmission doesn't stop with Carrie or with me. If this episode found someone who needs those words, consider these your words to go do that thing. So we'll land the plane here, and I did write about this. I do have a weekly newsletter that I drop to my 1,700 subscribers. Can you believe that? 1,700 subscribers. You just need to go to kristenzeman.com and click on blog, and you can sign up for my newsletter. But until next time, This is your moment of reckoning. Step into it.